What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I want to break down what's happening with the economy for tomorrow as we have some data coming out for the morning. And also what just happened with Nvidia's earnings as Nvidia is flying and the market is following the trend so far. But before I break into devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit $500 into the account, you are guaranteed 20 free stocks. If you deposit $25,000 or more, you're guaranteed 75 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon in just a couple of days. Anyways, now let's talk about Tesla. Looking at Tesla in the market, we can see we're seeing a lot of upside right now. Tesla's currently up 0.6%, SPY is up 0.6%. Looking at others out there like ARM, it's up about 7%. We're seeing the same thing with Supermicro. It's up about 8.5%. Apple's up a bit. The market is green for the most part during the after hours. And the thing leading the way up is Nvidia, as this thing is continuing to squeeze, getting closer to its all-time high again. So why is Nvidia up 8%? Why is the market moving like this? I'm going to give you guys more information about this and talk about something very important on the charts. So let's talk about the economic calendar first. For tomorrow, it's going to be Thursday, February 22nd. Okay, an hour before the market opens at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have initial jobless claims coming out, continuing jobless claims, and lots of jobs numbers. These will be very important to understand the current sector. Then at 9:45 a.m., we have the manufacturing numbers, the S&P Composite PMI reports, and all of these different sectors are going to be pivotal for these different sectors. So watch and see what happens with manufacturing and the PMI reports at 9:45. That's about 15 minutes after the market opens. Then after that, everything else is very minor. We just have existing home sales at 10 a.m. We have Jefferson from the Fed giving a speech at 10. And then we also have Harker from the Fed giving a speech at 3:15. So watch and see what happens during these time frames. But just know something, okay? This data is going to be the most important. Firstly, we have initial jobless claims at 8:30 a.m. And then 15 minutes after market open PMI. Those are the two most important pieces of data. Everything else is quite minor, so watch and see how it affects the markets. So far, we just had the FOMC minutes, right? The minutes came out, and basically, a lot of these Fed officials are saying that they may have to keep rates up for longer than expected. They are saying that cutting may be kind of premature, and it doesn't make sense to do that with high certainty, and they have to continue to monitor the situation. The market was actually dropping for many points today, especially after the minutes came out, but then the market started to get bought up during the final hour of the day, and we started to rally, approaching the end of the day and approaching Nvidia's earnings. That's because people knew what was going to happen. The buyers came in, Wall Street came in, they started buying when the market was at its lowest. And after that, we started the market just continued to run after Nvidia's earnings came out. So that's what's been going on. The market is still greedy. We're not at extreme greed just yet. We could reach that later, but I just want to note that there's still room for the market to go higher just based off this alone. We're not done yet, and there's still juice left in the tank. Nvidia had its earnings after the market closed. That's going to be super important, not just for today, but also for Thursday and Friday. Nvidia is a giant worth over $1 trillion. And it's going to cause a big ripple effect in the markets. Now, for tomorrow, we have Moderna, Nikola, Fiverr, and Wayfair announcing their earnings in the morning. Then we have Carvana after the market closes, and Warner Bros. Discovery for Friday. So watch for those earnings as well. But Nvidia is still going to affect the market a lot for Thursday and Friday. So just be prepared. Now, without further ado, let's talk about Nvidia. How did Nvidia do? What's going on with the share price? Things were looking pretty darn good for Nvidia in terms of earnings, and we had strong guidance. So right here, you guys could see that Nvidia announced that they had better than expected guidance for the fiscal fourth quarter, and the AI-led surge led this like big increase in demand for chips, which is very, very awesome. So for the 3 months ending for December 31st or Q4, Nvidia announced earnings per share of $5.16. That's adjusted, by the way. We expected $4.64, so it beat on EPS. Revenue was $22.1 billion. That's above the expected $20.55 billion. So they beat on EPS, they beat on revenue, not bad whatsoever from Nvidia. Now, the data center, which is the gauge for AI demand, and this is one of the most important components of Nvidia's revenue, it saw an increase of 409% to $18.4 billion. That's a very, very big increase relative to a year ago. and that's beating estimates of 17.06 billion, which is not bad whatsoever. They're also talking about rising demand for their AI GPUs, including the H100, which is good for them. Gaming was actually up about 56% to 2.87 billion above expectations, but the automotive sector, excuse me guys, it slipped 4% to 281 million dollars, a little bit below expectations. Now the beat has come across even as the data center sales have dropped in China because of new licensing requirements from the US and also export bans. So despite those setbacks, Nvidia did not let that stop them from beating on earnings, and they still did very well. Now, earnings were strong. Most sectors did very, very well with a few slips here and there, but for the most part, it was very strong. But what's really helping this is because of the projected growth in AI and this right here. They mentioned that for the fiscal Q1, revenue is expected to be 24 billion, give or take 2%. That is beating the analyst expectations of 22 billion. That's what they were thinking before. So they're raising their guidance. That's very, very good. And the gross margins are expected to be around 76 to 77%. Good for Nvidia. Very strong earnings above expectations, beating what many people were expecting, and a very, very nice amount of growth is coming as a result of that. Now, there's something else that's been happening in Nebraska. There's a bill that's threatening Tesla's direct sales model, at least right over there. Tesla just opened its service center in Lincoln, which is a part of Nebraska. And depending on the definition of what Tesla is doing there, whether it's manufacturing or if it's a service company, this could actually affect whether or not it's allowed to sell cars there. So that's going to be very important. This is changing because of the Motor Vehicle Industry Regulation Act threatening the existence of Tesla's established service center over there. And this will have to do with whether or not Tesla is kind of like identified by law as a manufacturer or a service for what it's essentially doing right there. So that this has to do with a lot of the different changes that have been happening, and we'll see what Tesla does. I read that Tesla is trying to essentially seek a compromise to allow its EV manufacturers to provide essential services. And, it's very complicated, but this has been going on. If anything, I'm seeing this over a lot of headlines, but this is quite minor. I don't think that this is really going to affect them that badly if it were to close or if anything happens. So it's just worth noting. Besides that, Daiwa Capital is giving Tesla a neutral rating. The price price ratio is trying to bounce as Tesla's gaining some strength. And also relative to SPY, Tesla's starting to hold up a little bit better. Don't forget that for the current time frame, Thursdays tend to be green about 48% of the time, but we tend to see high volatility at 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. And besides that, we have very high financial estimates. Now, on top of this, volume was 104 million above expectations, which is not bad. And the real question now is, what is Tesla likely going to do, in my opinion? What do I predict is going to likely pan out for the share price? And here's my answer. So when you look at Tesla, right, super short term, notice how we had this low here. We broke the high, broke this low. So we're starting to uptrend just slightly, and we could see Tesla attempts to go higher. Tesla's also uptrending, technically speaking, when you zoom out like this and you look at the charts just like this, you could see we started at this low, broke this high, made a higher low, higher high, higher low. We're starting to uptrend, which is quite good. We also happen to have a nice inverse head and shoulders, so that 207 gap has not been filled yet, followed by that 212 resistance. There's a very good chance Tesla might attempt to push higher with the market. As long as there's no bad news, we could see this breakout, at least technically speaking, because we're trying to break out of this potential flag, and we're going to be looking for the bull flag to play out. In my opinion, I'm going to be watching resistance at around 198 to 200. If Tesla breaks 200, 205 will be our next target. If we could close above or hold above 200, I think 205 is coming. Then 207 and 212, I think there's a very good chance 200 plus is coming very soon. For support, I'm going to be watching 198. If we lose one, no, I'm sorry, 195 and then 192. If we lose 192, expect it to come down to 190 and 188. I think that Tesla's going to likely attempt to push with the market and make its way up to 200 and possibly even break above that and get a nice push to the upside as we're attempting to uptrend. Now, let me also add that if you look at Tesla's trend since we've been uptrending, Tesla likes to form these little cups here, then we break out, cup here, it breaks out, and we could be forming another cup here, and we could attempt to break out again. So I do think there's upside potential for Tesla. I think Nvidia is going to help lead the way, and I do anticipate that Tesla's going to push for 200 plus for tomorrow in a very, very nice fashion. It could even break higher, so we'll have to see that in real time. What's going to help Tesla is going to be SPY, and I'll talk about Nvidia in just a second. SPY is looking bullish. We're approaching 500. I think that right now SPY is making a very parabolic move. Watch support at 498 and 496. Watch this resistance zone at 500. If we do break out of this, our next target's 502, then 503.5, followed by 505. So it could try to break out. This could turn very parabolic, and the share price is looking very bullish, in my opinion. Now, we have to see if it could hold, but part of why I'm saying that it's looking bullish is because Nvidia is still pumping right now, and we're about to get a bullish cross on the PPO. So we're seeing buyers defending it. When it dropped today, this is just them grabbing liquidity, getting very, very good entry points, and they grabbed the liquidity to trigger stops before they pushed it back up. So this is looking bullish. It's going to likely push higher. Going to be looking for it to break into the 500s. 502 and 503.5 are real possibilities. Same thing with Tesla. If you look at the 4-hour, Tesla is also showing some life. It could push a little higher, in my opinion. Just wanted to call that out. So long as it holds above the 50 EMA, I could see this actually push more. Now, let's talk about the queen or the king, whatever you want to call it, Nvidia. Nvidia is nearing a bullish PPO crossover. We're at 732, still showing life. We're not too far from the all-time high. And I think there's a very good chance it's going to push even higher. So watch resistance at 734. If that breaks, our next target is going to be around 740 and then 745. For support, you're going to be watching basically 725. If it fails to hold that, we're going to be coming back down towards 720. Nvidia is looking quite strong. It's holding up nicely. Look for a nice push right here. It's helping the markets, and I think there's a good chance it's going to hold up. I want to see if it can try to break the all-time high to get to 750 or not, but I do think it's going to hold up nicely and try to push up more. For the QQQ, let's call out something very important. Sorry about all the lines, but look at this yellow trend line. I drew this out just to show you that 434 is going to be our resistance to watch for. I do think that the QQQ could test that if we continue to break out. And that's where this basically aligns towards. Now, we're on a nice breakout on the QQQ thanks to NVIDIA. It's up like 4 points already. So it shows how sensitive it is to NVIDIA. Watch 432 as resistance. If we break this, our next target is going to be up to about 434. If we break down, watch 429 as support. If we lose that, 427 and 425 are coming. With this bounce, I think there's a very good chance that we see the QQQ push up towards the 430s, 432, then 434, as the chart is looking bullish to me. So watch it. I think it could push temporarily, and then we'll see how it reacts to resistance a little bit later. But we look bullish. For Apple, Apple is showing some life, not as strong as the others out there. This is looking like a really, really nice accumulation. Institutions sold their shares, brought it down. They're accumulating shares down here. They're rebuying, and now they're going to push it back up most likely. Watch resistance at this 182.5 zone. We're kind of like shuffling around here. We want to break this and get to 183.5, which I think we'll do. And if we do get above that, I think 185 is coming next. For support, watch 181.36, 180, then 178. I favor the upside on this. It looks bullish to me. With that being said, guys, I went over the majority of the stocks out there. Let's just go over a few others before I break down more things worth noting. So we're going to start off with SoFi. SoFi is looking quite bullish to me. Watch it test 8.23. If that breaks, watch 8.32, followed by a little break to the upside. I think it's going to push a little higher above 8.3 to push higher. ARM or ARM, it's looking bullish right now. I think it's going to be testing 136 soon and eventually 138. Looks bullish. I like what I'm seeing on the chart. For super micro, we're trying to fight the 20 EMA on the 4-hour time frame. If we could break 805, I think it's going to be pushing all the way up towards 850, then eventually 920. If we fail to do so, then it could reject here. So it's still at resistance. We have to try to break 805. If we break it, we're going to be looking for a bigger push to the upside. NVIDIA is going to likely help it. So look for this attempt to bounce. 850, 920 are potential targets. The chart is looking bullish for a bounce. For Palantir, it looks bullish. I think it's going to be testing 25 soon. Look for a breakout. As long as it holds about 23.68, it's going to push for 25 in my opinion. So let's see if it holds and breaks out. For the Russell 2000, I'm seeing 199.26. If this breaks, 200 and what is that? 201, I think it's going to be tested. That's where the gap is, followed by 204. So look for some more upside to break 199 and get to 201. I do favor the upside. For Microsoft, we're looking bullish. I think if we break, we're basically approaching 406. If we break 406, I think we're going to be looking for 410 again. It looks bullish to me. For not SoFi, sorry guys, Shopify, not SoFi. We look like we're going to be testing 79. If that breaks, 81 is coming. We look bullish. I think that, you guys can just see the Nvidia effect right here. It's just causing everything to bounce. AMD is going to bounce with Nvidia. Let's break 171. If we break this, I think it's going to be approaching basically 175. I do see 175 coming, so it looks bullish to me. So watch for that breakout. For SPX, we're already at, I think we're approaching 5,000. We have a gap to fill there. I see 5,000 easily coming, then eventually a test of these highs. Looks bullish to me. SPX, it could push even higher. For the VIX, remember we called out something on the VIX yesterday. I told you all that the gap is still down there. So we'll see if we continue to break out or if we're going to come back down to fill the gap. We're going to come down to fill the gap and start sinking, in my opinion, towards the 14s. The VIX is going to get dragged down by SPY after that parabolic move. So watch that carefully. For the dollar index, this is rejecting and might come down to 103.76, which is helping the market pump. Just a couple more. For Coinbase, watch 168 as resistance. If we break this, I could see 175 then 180 coming next. I think 180 could be a target, so watch for more upside if we break resistance. Google, as long as we hold above 144.8, I see this essentially pushing up towards 147. So as long as we hold above 144.8, 147 should be coming. It looks bullish to me. Amazon's looking bullish. I think that we have a nice inverse head and shoulders like structure. We're starting to bounce thanks to Nvda. Watch 170. Eventually, 172 is next, and 175. I think 172 is coming soon. For Meta, finally, Meta is looking bullish. Going to be looking for a push towards 475. We're just a little bit under that. If we break where this wick is, our next target is going to be all the way up here towards 482. I could see 482 on Meta coming next. So look for a little bounce right here. It's showing some life. The market is showing some strength. So you got to do what you got to do. With that being said, thank you all so much for listening. SPY could even break an all-time high, guys. The market is still looking strong. I think Tesla's going to follow the trend soon as well. So let's see if Tesla can get a bounce tomorrow. And we'll see how it goes. I do think Tesla's going to push tomorrow. So get ready. Nvidia is a monster. I cannot stress that enough. I've been saying to everyone that Nvidia has so much potential. Nvidia is going to be very important and a huge move is coming. If you don't consider this a huge move, then it's up to you if you want to be watching things the way you're watching them, but it is what it is. But I just want to make it clear, Nvidia is a monster. It just pushed the entire market up. Do you guys see that? The whole market followed it. The entire bullish flow perpetuated amongst different stocks out there, and Nvidia led the way up, and it's going to likely continue into tomorrow. So get ready, do what you have to do, guys. Remember days like this as lessons in case you guys are trying to play your earnings and such, and do what's best for your own portfolios and your lives. I thank you for listening. I appreciate everyone. Take care. Tesla and the markets to the moon because the long term is very bright. And peace out.